Today's Diana Prince is T.H. Irwin. T.H. co-founded ExExperts with her partner, Jessica Klimbaum. It's a free online resource for women who are navigating divorce. It's a community that she and Jessica wish they had when they were navigating their own divorces over 10 years ago. T.H. loves adventure and the outdoors, but not getting dirty. This is something she proved during a Kilimanjaro climb. T.H., thank you for joining me on Diana Prince.
Thank you for having me here. I'm really excited to get into some good conversation with you today.
And we do have some good conversation coming up because I really want to talk to you about this because I remember when you and I had a one-on-one a couple of months ago and you told me your story. And I remember it triggered that dysfunctional, well-meaning girlfriend that when I'm like, oh my God, how dare he do that to you? And I wanted to bring you on because I have never experienced a divorce except through other people. I am a product of divorce. My parents divorced when I was very young. I experienced divorce through my girlfriends. So I just want to hone in on what that looked like for you. You know, maybe you can give the audience your background. We could just take it from there. I really want to understand where a friend and your community can help you through a divorce.
Great. So I will start at the point of being miserable in my marriage. I was married for 13 years, but I would say at least the last 4, I was lost. Barely recognized myself. As I now realize was in an emotionally abusive marriage. I don't say that lightly, by the way. And I had 3 kids under 8 by the time that we got a divorce. So what happened was Jessica, who is one of my best friends, and I were couples best friends. We traveled with our husbands and our kids, and our lives were we were running parallel lives, got engaged a month apart, married a month apart, did all the things, went to beautiful places. We belonged to country clubs. Like it all looks so the way it's supposed to be, right? And then 13 years into our marriages, we find out that our husbands are not just cheating on us, but cheating on us, covering for one another in long-term affairs with their girlfriends. And for my ex-husband was with his girlfriend from the moment my son was born. He's my youngest. So for 4 years, he was leading 2 lives. It all imploded at the same time because they were covering for each other. So there was no way to hide from one another. But the truth is, Jessica found out that her husband was cheating 5 days before I found out. And I found out because my husband's fiance, yes, you can hear that, called me because someone chirped in her ear that he was still married and not in fact divorced. So she called me to find out if I was still married to him. And I said yes. And I told her that she saved my life that day because I was suffocating in my marriage. And
they were already engaged?
Yeah, he had proposed to her.
Did I get that right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. He proposed to her. She was on the West Coast. I live on the East Coast. And he was mad. He was juggling 2 lives. We had 3 kids and I was working. I have a career and we had help in the house. But for at least the last 4 years of my marriage, I traveled without him. He didn't come to birthday parties. He missed their vacations, to the point that when it came time to make my son like one of those placemats in preschool, there were no pictures with his dad. And I remember that to this day being another one of those wake up TH moments that I pushed down and couldn't accept. And Jessica and I traveled a lot and spent a lot of time together, the 4 of us, as our marriages were falling apart behind our backs, but we weren't willing to face it. We never shared how uncomfortable we were in our marriages because we weren't ready to put it out into the universe. Even as close as we were, the minute you say, I think he's doing whatever, or I'm really unhappy, then it becomes real. And so
then you have to do something about it once you look at it.
Right. Now it's real. Now you put it out there. So if you don't talk about it and you suck it down, you will, number 1, make yourself sick, which I did. You will, number 2, remove yourself from your support system, which I did. You will lie to everybody as well as yourself, which I did. And I'm not proud of all of that. I couldn't have done any better than I did. But she was my get out of jail free card. I'm like, you can have him. Holla freaking Luya. All yours. I'm out.
Was it that instant though?
For me,
Did
it
you go
was.
through a phase as soon as you knew that that
Angela, she
she
called
existed?
me. The universe, and look, I'm not a voodoo person or a gypsy, but that was the anniversary
Oh
of
no.
someone really important who died, was on the day that I got the phone call in a place where my phone never works. And I never usually answer when I don't know the caller ID. Whatever it was made her call me that day, and I answered the phone. Literally, she said, "Are you married to him?" I said, "Yes." I'm like, "Who is this? Is this like an insurance thing?" She goes, "Well, I'm engaged to be married to him." And I literally said, "You just saved my life. I got to call you back. I got to get my kid to karate. I got to get my other kid home. My other one's on an overnight trip, but I am calling you back because I have questions." It was an instant relief for me. I'd already grieved. That was so long ago. When Jessica found out, that was her reality check and her grieving began. Mine was long gone. What was difficult for me was now I had to deal with him again. It was easier when he wasn't around for 4 years. I was a single mom. Is that the way you're supposed to be when you're married? No. Is that a healthy relationship? Absolutely not. But I was functioning. I was existing. I was not living. Yeah, it was, for me, it was an instant. Finally, I could take a deep breath. I wasn't crazy. There was nothing wrong with me. Everything I was feeling was actually true. I shouldn't have been afraid.
Mm-hmm. I don't have the point of reference from from a divorce, but I believe in signs, and I believe a lot of the times we get caught up in our daily lives to actually deal with something that's there
Yep.
because it's going to just it's going to be work. Are you ready to look at it,
Right.
right? Are you ready to jump in there? So I do believe in signs, and I believe, like, sometimes we hesitate, to make a decision. So for you probably already had, it sounds like you already made it, and you just needed that somebody to just kind of
Someone to push me
check
off
the
the
box.
airplane.
This is when you got to stare at it, and it's time to work, because now you can't put it aside. But I get that, because I work in that same mode. A lot of the times you're just surviving,
Yeah.
and you can't take anything else on. Nothing can disrupt
Yeah.
you at this moment. So I completely understand. But you went through that grieving process beforehand, because you saw it, you knew it. How did you deal with that?
I didn't
Did day to
recognize
day
it.
just get you, or you just didn't deal with it at all?
It was a slow burn. He would literally say things in front of my face, in front of other people, to the point that I also remember, hindsight's 2020, that my friend came up to me and she goes, "You're okay with him talking about you like that?" And I said, "I didn't even hear what he said. I don't really care. If I can't hear it, he can't hurt me." That was the defense
He was
mechanism that I set
disrespectful
up.
in things that he said, like in a
He was
crowd.
so condescending and
Oh,
derogatory and disrespect, emotionally abusive. It was survival mode. I literally put myself in a mode. If I can't hear what he says, I can't get hurt. So I'm just not going to hear it. And I'm just going to go through my day, wake up, get the kids where they need to go to work, come home, feed everybody in bed. Okay, that was a good day. It had
and you pick your
nothing to do with
battles.
me.
And you pick your battles, right? Because it's like, also, if you acknowledge what he says, then you gotta deal with it right then and there. And if your plate is full,
There was
your
no
plate is full already.
communication, Angela. There
Hmm.
was no
Yeah.
communication. And my kids feel like we fought a lot because the
Hmm.
silence was deafening, not
Oh
because there
wow,
were loud voices in the house.
I see.
It was,
Wow.
I was surviving. I mean, I can't really explain it. I didn't feel right. I did go see a lawyer. I did go to a therapist who really came right out and said, listen, you have two choices. You can eat shit and stay, or you can stand up for yourself and leave. And I stayed because I was afraid. I didn't know what this meant. If I do something about it, what does it mean? Am I the worst mom? It had nothing to do with me personally. I'm a mom of
Yeah.
3 kids and I have a close family. What are people going to think of me if I end the marriage? And so having a villain, you know, the tabloids and everybody make everybody seem like they're the villain. And that's
Yes.
not the case in 90% of those instances. He was the villain here. However, I do take responsibility in my marriage for my marriage not being healthy. I allowed bad behavior. I allowed disrespect, continued and enabled zero communication and an unhealthy relationship. I don't fully know why, but it was a slow burn of someone who puts you down a little bit more every single day to the point that you start believing them. I can't even believe that I believed him, but I did. And that day that I got the phone call, I feel like, oh my God, I just got the elephant off my back and the noose around my neck is falling off. I'm me again. Like, hallelujah. What happened? I am literally reborn. That is one of the best days of my life. I love my children dearly, but I can't imagine what would have happened to me if I didn't get out of that marriage.
So tell me, what is the first thing that you did right after that phone call?
Well, I called my brother. After I had my kids settled, I called my brother and he came to my house. He left work and my sister-in-law and we mobilized. My parents, thank God, were in Egypt. So again, the universe, because I could not have dealt with them chirping in my ear at this moment. I
Mm-hmm.
needed to do what I felt I needed to do and not what someone else was telling me to do. So I got all of my ducks in a row. It was the Thursday before Mother's Day. So I had decided I was going to go to my brother and sister-in-law's house with the kids to get out of town because this was going to spread like wildfire in 2 minutes. I'm in a suburban town. I need to get my shit
Gotcha.
together. So I left town and started going through all the credit cards and all the bank statements and uncovered the years of lies and travel and money spent on his affair with
Yeah.
this woman. And that is what made my divorce difficult. The extent of the deceit, the extent of the disrespect is what I was like, oh my God.
You
This
went
is
back to
raw.
piece it all together to see you had to be, yeah, you pieced it all together. I've actually have gone through something similar. You know, it may not have been connected to a divorce, but a betrayal.
Yeah.
You know, you go back, you know, when you think something, you know, is a certain way and you realize it isn't,
Yep.
your brain just goes back to replay the whole thing to see where you fucked up and what
Right.
weren't you catching, right?
Right.
So I get where you were, and you had what, 4 years to piece together at least. Wow, but that is a lot to go through. And I know that, you know, you say you wanted to, at that point you wanted to be free, but how did you deal with that reality? Just, you know, everything that you unveiled must have been a
It
sting to
was
you at that point.
unbelievable to me. She had met my kid. He had made time for her to meet my kids without me knowing. He was just awful to me. He was just awful. The first thing he actually said to me when he saw me, when I finally called him, he came to the house. We were temporarily also living in my parents' house, so he had no right to be in the house, which also was a
Mm-hmm.
savior. The first thing he said to me is, who told her that I was still married? He was more
Oh,
focused on that relationship getting messed up than I'm sorry to me and the kids.
oh my gosh.
And then everything,
I'm turning into that girlfriend again. I
but
want to kick his
everything
ass, to
was
be
an
quite
eye
honest. What?
opener. It was
But
glaring.
why was he in the relationship? Like, was he there?
It with me? I don't
Yeah,
know.
well, yeah, exactly.
I have
Like,
no
why,
idea.
if he was done,
Then you
if
should have
he was
left.
done, why play it out for 4 years?
Most most infidelity is uncovered and
Hmm.
not just revealed.
Wow.
There's a shame to it. There's a thrill of it being secret, special, nobody knows about it. But he started incorporating her into his life in New Jessica, and we had all mutual friends. They all knew that our husbands were cheating because they were bringing their girlfriends out with our friends. And then
Oh
our
my.
friends started backing off. They're like, we don't want to be a part of this. You guys have a good time. We're out. But Jessica, that's why it was so important and also a tremendous gift that Jessica and I were going through this at the exact same time because we were navigating it, asking all the questions like, he did this, but he did that. And so, what did your lawyer say about this? And by the way, what are we going to do for our first New Year's Eve? Like, let's make a commitment. We're together. Valentine's Day, New Year's Eve, Mother's Day, so we were lock in step with one another, which was huge in helping us move forward. So as I went to my brother's house for the weekend, I was on the phone with her, unraveling all of it. They said they went on a guy's motorcycle trip. They weren't there. They were at the Four Seasons in Costa Rica with their girlfriends because I saw it
Hmm.
on the credit card. So just the extent of it. I mean, no wonder he had headaches all the time. I would too. Like, this is a lot. He could have so simply said, you know what? I'm really unhappy. I'm out. But he didn't. And that's
But
his story and his struggle. But really, the first thing I did, I had tremendous clarity knowing that I wasn't crazy, knowing that
yeah,
everything I was feeling that I was so afraid of that I was going to make a mistake was valid. I'm not nuts. I'm not actually any of the things he said I was. I am a good mom. I am a smart person. And you are not a good man. Those are the things that were hard for me to come to grips with. Like, there are
yeah.
some times, especially at the beginning, but even sometimes now, 15 years out of my marriage, that I'm like, I feel bad for my kids that he's their dad. And that's a hard thing to say because they
No, and
now deal with the same man that I was married to. And he has an agenda and he has a way of dealing with people no matter who you are. They grapple because they want to love their dad, or they want to not dislike their dad.
hmm.
And so now I have to support them through that.
Yes,
So
yeah.
it's a challenge every step of the way, but just first of all, getting back to me,
Hmm.
knowing I am going to be okay. I am going to
Yeah.
be okay. I'll deal with all this. I didn't even know half of what was coming at me, but I always knew I was going to be okay once I realized that all of the gaslighting was just that.
Well, I'm happy to hear that, and I do have a follow-up question though, because
Yeah.
you did mention that Jessica was the one that was supporting you, and you guys were in the same situation, going through the same experience, and that this all happened in a small community. So does that mean that you lost your community and Jessica was the only one there for you? Tell me what that looked like for you.
So Jessica and her husband lived in Manhattan, and I lived just outside of Manhattan. So we had all, similar friends, but honestly, in my town, everyone was my friend. He was nowhere. He wasn't here. They weren't his friends. And so in that respect, I was very fortunate because I didn't have to choose. But there were times where I wasn't included in a big party and all of my best friends were with their husbands. And because I was alone, I wasn't included. And that made me feel really, really, really awful. And other things that happen is, around holidays. So people will say, TH, Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, Christmas, you're always welcome to our house, which is very nice. Except we're like a week out from Thanksgiving and no one's called me. And so I'm not
Yeah.
showing up at your house, Angela, being like, remember you said I could come, So to be a friend, which is kind of what we were talking about at the beginning. If you really are a friend to that person, then reach back out and be like, Teach, it's a week before Thanksgiving. If you don't have a plan, you and your kids, please, I'd love to have you over.
It's when you need your community the most, and you need that, you need to be invited over, because holidays are going to be the roughest.
They are. They are.
And
And
you
when you
need
don't
that
have your
distraction.
kids, and like,
Mhm.
what if it's a holiday? I don't have my kids. Where
Yeah.
am I going? But it's not anyone's fault that they don't think about it. I'm just highlighting it so you do think about it, to
Yeah.
extend the branch for someone who's alone, whether it's sickness or, the loss of a spouse or divorce, whatever it is. Just restate the invitation again, because we need to hear it, because we don't want to impose. We don't want to be the third wheel. We don't want to be a pain. We're not needy, but we're not just showing up.
You want to have a conversation that's not about your divorce. I would think that that would be a
Absolutely.
fantastic
Yes.
distraction.
I want people to know
Exactly.
the new me, not the old
Exactly.
growing
So
me.
I like that.
Yeah.
And I was just going to segue into that, into like, what advice would you give a friend? And I would say that you already answered that. Is basically get that invitation out. Don't put barriers up, or thinking, or excuses up. Put the invitation out. It's going to be well received, right?
Yeah. And I think people are afraid of what to say.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's the right
Yeah.
thing to say? Do I say I'm sorry? Do I say congratulations? Do I say he's such an asshole? I'm so glad you're done. Do I say you're so pretty, you'll find somebody else?
Do tell me, because
None
I
of
always
those
say, what an
things.
asshole.
None of them. I already know. I am grossly aware of the kind of person. And
Hmm.
am I glad you think of that? I don't know. I've got kids. Like, I don't want you talking
No,
about
I
him
know.
in
Yeah.
front of my kids. Only I'm allowed to do that. No, you can't do that. This is what I would say if you have a friend who's gone through any kind of trauma, divorce, loss, sickness. How are you right now? You can answer that question. I know actually how I am at this exact moment. But if you ask me how I'm doing, I'm like, whew, well, that's a big question. How am I doing? Where do I
Hmm.
begin? I don't
Right.
know. It's raining and the dog and the thing broke and my kid. Like, right now, be super present with me. How are you doing right now? Right now, I am okay. Reinvite, reinvite, reinvite. Please. Some days are going to be hard, that you're not going to want to be around people, but please don't stop the invitation from coming, even if it's Sunday night dinner or just going to the movies, or do you want to go for a walk? I'm not one who likes to go out to dinner a lot. I'd rather walk for 2 hours, go to like a museum, or do an act. If that's what I'm going to get, then I'm probably going to take it. But don't stop the invitations. If we say no, I'm not up for it tonight, it doesn't mean we're not up for it the next night or the next time.
Right.
Check in with your friends. Don't be a pain in the questions about the situation. So where are you in the divorce, and what's going on? And I heard X, Y, and Z. Don't be a nosy gossiper.
Okay.
Just be a friend. We just want someone who's going to listen. You can't possibly give me advice. You've never been there, Angela,
Hmm.
but you can sit with me and you can give me a hug and you can tell me something funny and we can watch a show. Being just as good a friend as someone who's walking in your shoes. And the people walking in your shoes who have been through it, I'm literally living it. I don't need you to recap your experience. You can say, you know what, TH, definitely meet with 2 lawyers. That'll be really beneficial to you. Definitely get a therapist, because you want someone who knows nothing about your life, who's not going to judge you, to support you through all of this. And can I help you with the kids? Can I take them this night? Do you want to do a play date? You want to go away for the weekend? Give solid direction without emotion.
Right.
You have to use my lawyer, TH. She is the best. She will take him for everything he's worth. I don't know if that's
Hmm.
what I want. And I'm glad she was the best for you, but I'm not sure if she's the best for me. So we at ExExperts, which is what we created because of all of this, develop talking points for people, for friends. as well as for you. I mean, if you came to me and you're like, TH, what is going on? I heard all of this happening, then I need to have my standard response. Angela, thank you so much for reaching out. I really appreciate it. I know you care. I just really don't want to get into it right now. You have to practice that because you're going to be caught off guard at a party. And the last thing you want to be doing is sitting in the corner spewing everything, which is what I have done, which is why I'm telling you not to do that. I'm telling you not to do some of the things that I have done that I know better now because I ruined my whole night. I didn't have any fun. I was letting my divorce and him ruin my night. And I had a choice as to whether I let that happen or not. And I let it happen because it's easier. You think somebody cares, but they're actually just wanting the scoop.
TH, you gave some great advice, actually, from, to a woman who's never been through it. I all well-meaning and everything like that. I think everyone should know the talking points and how to approach a woman going through this trauma right now. And, hopefully if it happens again in my family, I will definitely know how to treat that and how, not add to it. You know what I mean? Right. And I take what you say to heart. I also, we want to close out the conversation right now because we want to keep it short and sweet for our listeners. And I want to thank you for joining me today on Diana Prince Lives Next Door. I really feel, you are the main reason that I have this podcast. And it is just to highlight the voices of women like you who have gone through so much. And, every day do heroic things. And it's just getting yourself out of that situation and putting your kids up front and center and, and making sure that they are from it, let's just say, for lack of a better term, right? As much as you can, right?
Yeah.
And they're not experiencing it like I did, back in the day. Back in the day, you were just like kind of drag through it.
Yeah.
But I want to have everyone tune in to TH's Divorce, Etc. podcast for more great conversations about this life-changing topic. Whether you're going through it or your girlfriend's going through it, just get to know the many conversations that, revolve around it, and it'll make it better for you. If you're going through a divorce and you need to find community, for sure, look up TH and her partner. If your friend is going through it, do the same. I have their link, from their website in the description. So feel free to reach out.
Thank you so much, Angela, for giving me the opportunity to share. And I just want to end by saying 2 more tips. First one is to really be present, which I carry over into everything I do in my life, especially with my kids. I am 100% present in what I am doing at this moment, especially it's harder to do that with work because I'm an easy procrastinator and easily distracted. But with my kids and with people who matter to me, I am present because you're going to miss out if you're not present. And the other thing is you are so not alone. You are not alone. You are not the only one who feels this way. You're not the only one who's been through bad stuff. You, unfortunately, are among many. And ExExperts and Divorce, Etc.'s purpose is to bring you together and to educate you. Ultimately, you're going to take charge of your life and you can do hard things. You're probably already doing it and not recognizing it. So you're not alone. Be present and you're going to be okay.
Thank you, TH, for that. And thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.